in from a very sunny London here in the United Kingdom for the first time in a long time. I've got my windows open while I'm live streaming, so there may be some background noise, and I apologize if that is the case. But hopefully this mic will do its job and focus just on my voice, and it should sound nice and silky smooth. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining. For those of you new to my channel, my name is Apostate Alex. I used to be the Director of Public Book Sales at the Church of Scientology in London, and now I speak out against Scientology's abusive practices and do what I can to lobby government, speak to politicians, and sound the alarm, raise public awareness of the abusive practices that Scientology engage in. It is behaviors that I'm against, not beliefs. And tomorrow I will be speaking at the Leicester Secular Society, which is a very prestigious organization, about my experience speaking out against Scientology's abusive practices. And of course, Scientology have been meddling to do what they can to try and get my talk cancelled, but they have failed. But first, before we get into it, let's say hello to everybody in the chat. SP Crusader Leanie is in the house. What a wonderful mod she is. Thank you so much. Leanie says, hello, everyone, and welcome to the chat. Please remember to hit that like button and subscribe on your way in. For cool emojis to think about becoming a member. Absolutely. Irish Mart is here. Hi, Alex. Hi, Irish Mart. Thanks for joining. Barbara Bornholt. Hi, Alex. And of course, we have Linda P. Golan. Hey, all, Apostle Alex. Nice to see you in the daylight. Yes, it is lovely. It finally is starting to feel like summer, which is my favorite time of year. I'm often very busy in the summer with work. So I said in my last live stream, I just want to repeat again here today that I do apologize if you're going to be seeing less of me over the next few months, because I will be busy working. I work in the festival and music entertainment industry. So I spend a lot of time in random fields in places all over the UK with little to no internet connection. And it's not really appropriate to be live streaming from backstage at these events and from the places in which I work. So I'll try and fit in live streams as and when I can. But please know that my spare time is always spent fighting Scientology's abuses. And even though you may not see me on YouTube, that doesn't mean I'm not working on things. There's a lot going on behind the scenes at the moment that I'm looking forward to sharing with you in due course. But I'm always working hard to try and raise awareness and campaign for legislative change to stop Scientology's abusive practices. D. Williams is also here. Hello, Alex. Hi, thank you so much. Linda says, the brief UK summer, enjoy. Yes, we've got to really relish in every moment of sunshine that we have here in the UK because it is very limited. It's currently 22 degrees Celsius in London, which is very hot for UK in the UK, and it's lovely. I love the hot weather. If I could move to LA, I would. I love it over there, and I'm always a fan of the sunshine, although I'm not built for it. I'm very ginger and very pale, so I don't do well in the sunshine, but I just lather up with sun lotion. Anyway, this is the website for the Leicester Secular Society, and that's me on the left. Look, The Secrets of Scientology, Sunday, 11th of May, 6:30 p.m. Apostate Alex, Alex Bonds-Ross, that's me. In his talk, he will shed, in fact, let's just click read more. In his talk, Alex will shed light on the practices of the Church of Scientology and talk about his advocacy for those affected by its activities. Excuse me. He campaigns against the London Underground adverts promoting Scientology. In addition, Alex will discuss the broader implications of religious organizations on individual freedoms and societal structures. Excuse me again. Alex Bonds-Ross, Apostate Alex, is an activist calling for an end to Scientology's abusive practices. The Scientology cross came into use in 1969. Given Hubbard's private affinity for Crowley and antipathy to Christianity, it's been suggested that the cross may have been inspired by Crowley's Rose Cross, or might be a crossed-out cross, i.e. anti-Christian symbol. And yes, for those of you who don't know, Scientology has very intricate ties to the occult and Aleister Crowley. L. Ron Hubbard was very close to a guy called Jack Parsons, and there is a lot of symbology in Scientology that is linked to occultism and mysticism and magic with a K, and it is very anti-Christian. The OT8 materials, which is the highest part of the Bridge to Total Freedom, is where you find out that L. Ron Hubbard actually believes that he is the Antichrist, and he's going to come back in a second life and bring about the second coming. And it is very hard to be a Christian and be a Scientologist. You can at the very lower levels because the life improvement courses aren't really that religious. But when you start to get up the bridge to total freedom, for example, OT3, which is the part of the bridge where you learn about the space alien called Xenu, who has infested all of us human beings with body thetans that are causing all of your stresses and anxieties and traumas in life. From that point onwards, you have to spend time every single day exercising these beings from your body through the practice of auditing. Now, most Scientologists don't actually know that this is the scripture because you have to pay a lot of money to receive that scripture. But there is nonetheless a point in Scientology where it starts to become very hard to be any other religion and also consider yourself a Scientologist. It's considered other practices in Scientology terms. So it is anti-Christian. It is anti-religious. It is a totalitarian extremist belief system. And I'm going to do what I can to try and raise awareness of that. Now, people have a right and a freedom to believe in whatever they want to believe in. I don't have any issues with anybody who wants to be a Scientologist. That is your right to believe in what you want. But what I do have a problem with is the behaviors, the bullying tactics, the harassment, the forced abortions, the slave labor, the hard manual labor, the punishments, the harassment of critics, the suppression of free speech. Those are the things that I am protesting against. It is that behavior that I have a problem with. And can you have the belief without the behavior? I don't know. That's a question for another day. But when this talk was announced just the other day, the Leicester Secular Society suddenly found themselves the subject of some harassment. For those of you who don't know, Scientology have been engaging in a prolific, prolonged and substantial campaign of targeted harassment against me, a UK critic, a former member, over the last year or so that has involved 10,000 attack tweets, a hate website, and my front door being kicked in, among a number of other activities. Scientology's policy is to suppress free speech, to go after anybody who is critical of their organization and label them anti-religious bigots and so on and so forth. Their goal is actually to destroy, that is a quote from L. Ron Hubbard policy, destroy anybody that it comes up against. If you are anything but fully compliant with what Scientology wants, and you are not 100% behind them in every way that you possibly can be, you are considered a threat to the organization, and they will do what they can to suppress and to harass you and intimidate you into silence. That is something that I have been the subject of over the last few months, particularly. It is something to be expected when you speak out about Scientology, but it's not something I believe should be tolerated. So, of course, as soon as it started happening, I went to the press, and there was an article in The Observer, which is one of the largest and most read newspapers in the United Kingdom. It was in the top 10 most read articles of the paper that day. It was also reported in the Daily Mail, which is the world's largest and most read newspaper media organization in the world. So a lot of eyes are on the activism that I have been doing along with other people here in the UK. And you would have thought that such bad press would have scared Scientology's Office of Special Affairs away. But unfortunately, no. What it has actually done is created a situation in which they have doubled down on their attacks against me. In the last couple of weeks, we have seen a hate website go up on the domain name whoisalexbarnesross.org. We have seen very close contacts of mine on LinkedIn, for example, be contacted by email by their front group, The Freedom Magazine. We have seen harassment of anybody who is associated with me in any way. They have contacted, as far as I know, previous employers and clients of mine to try and get my business interfered with so that I don't earn any money, because their goal is to cause distress and problems for me so that I'm intimidated into silence and I stop speaking out. They are doing everything they can to silence me, and I will not be scared. But it is a real shame that what it means is that anybody who dares to support me in any way, shape, or form, by, for example, hosting me for a talk, they get into Scientology's crosshairs. But fortunately, the Leicester Secular Society were aware of this campaign of harassment, and they're not backing down. But I want to share with you what happened. This is an email I received from the Leicester Secular Society. And also, just to give you a bit of context, Leicester Secular Society is a very well-respected, well-regarded organization. It's a non-profit that was established in 1851, and they have provided a space for talks, for discussions, for this sort of thing to happen for 150, almost 200 years. So they're very well respected, and they're not people to be sneezed at, and it is with high regard that they are considered. So it is an honor and a privilege to be given the opportunity to speak there, and I'm very much looking forward to it. But this is the email that I received yesterday. Where is it? Just to let you know, both yesterday afternoon and today, two of my colleagues received phone calls from somebody named Graham. Now, I'm not going to give Graham's last name here on YouTube because every time I mention a Scientologist's name, it is given a privacy complaint by the Church of Scientology. And so I try to not give people second names. But for anybody who's been following my channel or Scientology's activities in the UK, just Google Scientology UK Graham and he will come up. You will know who he is. He is a spokesperson for the Church of Scientology, and he works very closely with our good friend Janet. And two of my colleagues received phone calls from someone called Graham. At first, they weren't sure who he was. He spoke to one of my colleagues who manages the Secular Hall building, asking about the Scientology talk and whether we knew who you were. He then gave his number to another colleague who spoke to him today. During that call, he identified himself as one of the directors of Scientology UK and made several claims. My colleague made it clear that we invited you to speak because we value free speech and we were impressed by your activism. I've also noticed some online posts attempting to undermine your reputation, and from the tone and content, it was immediately obvious that this was part of a coordinated smear campaign by individuals sympathetic to Scientology. Rest assured, everything is fine on our end. If anything, this only reinforces our decision to have you speak. I believe your talk will be insightful and eye-opening for our audience, and we're very much looking forward to your information. So, fortunately, the Leicester Secular Society are not backing down. They're aware of what Scientology is about. And in fact, actually, it's reinforced why my talk is important, which is obviously a good thing. Scientology's attempts to harass and intimidate me do not work. All they do is prove my point. And if I have one piece of advice for Graham and Janet, who we know watch these videos, it is to stop doing this. It only reflects badly on the Church of Scientology. If your job is to protect Scientology's public relations PR image, by attacking me and contacting my friends and family and business contacts and going after anybody who dares to support me, all you are doing is making Scientology look bad. If you think about it, if you hadn't have harassed me online with these 10,000 tweets and a hate website and all this other stuff, there wouldn't have been an article in The Guardian, The Observer, The Daily Mail. I would have nothing to talk about because their attacks are what the press are interested in. And that only makes the church look bad. You may spin it in a different way on your hate website and try and, craft a narrative that tries to make it look like the article made me look like the bad guy. But it's very clear to everybody who reads these articles that Scientology is the problem here, and it's your behaviors that is causing an issue. So that's my advice to you, Graham and Janet, is simply stop trying to harass me because it doesn't work. It only backfires. But nonetheless, this is proof that Scientology's Office of Special Affairs are absolutely trying everything they possibly can to shut me down and to shut me up. And I'm here to say that it does not and will not work. And I will continue fighting and doing what I can to raise awareness and be an advocate for those who are still stuck in Scientology or whose voice has been taken away. I stand firm in my commitment to raising awareness and campaigning for the legislative change that is needed to force survivors of abuse in Scientology to seek justice through the coercive control legislation that needs some slight amendments made to it. And I'm going to continue on this path of speaking out through my channel and through talks at places like this, so that more people become aware of the behavior Scientology is engaging in that I believe is very, very unchurch-like. This is an organization that claims to be a religious church, and yet they go after and spend millions of dollars attacking anybody that comes up against it. And again, I'm not campaigning against Scientology. I'm campaigning against Scientology's abusive practices. Pay your staff minimum wage. Allow them to leave when they want to leave. Don't attack and harass anybody that speaks out against you. And also, let people leave. Let people have babies if they want to. Pay your staff so they have something to fall back on. Stop forcing your staff to live in squalor and give them the resources they actually need to live a normal life. These things are very simple, easy fixes that could be done that would make the whole thing a lot less harmful and abusive, and people actually might want to stay. So if you do those slight changes, you'll notice a lot of people won't have much to talk about in this ex and anti-Scientology space. So it's really, really simple. But nonetheless, they're not going to change their ways because that's the way Scientology operates. They have to follow the policy of L. Ron Hubbard, which cannot change. So that's where we are. I'm going to continue doing what I can. But I wanted to raise awareness of the fact that they have been meddling and trying to get my channel shut down. They've been trying to get my talk shut down. They've tried to get me fired from my job and done everything they possibly can to interfere with my life. And if you want to support what I'm doing, coffee donations would be very much appreciated because this channel doesn't make a lot of money in terms of ad revenue. To be totally honest, I make about £100 a month in ad revenue and super chats and that sort of thing. I'm not doing this to make money, but the money that I make from it does go straight back into my activism and allows me to, for example, travel to Leicester, which is very far away from London, and give these talks and do what I can to campaign for awareness. So if you want to support what I'm doing, I would really appreciate donations through the Buy Me a Coffee link in my description. All of that does enable me to continue doing this. And it supports me and the channel and all of the people who are standing there with me and alongside me in this fight. So I do appreciate it. For example, tomorrow, when I get the train to Leicester, I had to obviously contact the police to let them know that there have been threats made against me up in Leicester ahead of this talk tomorrow. One of the questions they asked is, how am I getting from the train station to the venue? And my plan was to walk. They asked if I was going to be walking alone, and I said yes. And obviously, it was advised that it might be best for my safety to get a taxi instead, which is not something I have the disposable cash to pay for. So things like coffee donations go towards things like that to protect me and my safety, as well as the activism as well. So I just wanted to raise that. If you guys wanted to support the channel, I do appreciate that. Thank you so much. Let's have a look at some of these comments and questions. Becky, Big Brother fan, says, hey there, Osa, give Alex a break and join us for a life of freedom. Precisely. And I want to make it really clear that those of you who are still in Scientology, those of you in the Office of Special Affairs who are spending your time and your IAS donations to attack me and to watch my videos and watch my content, you may not believe or agree with everything that I say, and that's absolutely fine. All I want you to know is that there is a community of loving and supportive people here to help you set up a new life outside Scientology if you choose to leave. We are not in the business of trying to convince you to leave. It is your decision and your decision only. But if/when you do, please know that there is a whole group of people here that just want to help you and will do what we can to make sure you land on your feet, such as the Aftermath Foundation, which exists to support you in establishing and setting up a new life outside of Scientology. Amy M says, comment, just wait until the cult starts getting lawsuits filed against them by the law firm Fat Grammy featured this week on her channel. There we go. Absolutely. Irish Mart says, right, people can howl at the moon if they like, provided they don't force others to. Yeah, I don't have a problem with free speech. Scientology can say what they want to say, but there's a difference between free speech and speaking your mind and actively harassing and attacking members. So, for example, I campaign for greater awareness. I have organised a couple of protests. I speak out on my channel about Scientology's UK activities, but I absolutely don't talk about individual Scientologists' private lives. I don't contact people's businesses. I don't try and interfere with people's lives, but that is what Scientology do. They've gone through my LinkedIn contacts and tried to contact many of them to try and interfere with my career and get me to lose clients because I work as a freelancer. That's what they're trying to do. They're actively attempting to smear my name and make life difficult for me. And look, yes, some people have, some people understand how Scientology operates and are just completely not listening to it at all. But for other people, it's quite scary to receive a letter from Stand League, which actually should be the STAD League. Scientology is taking action against discrimination. And as much as I do what I can to raise awareness and let people know what Scientology is like and that they may receive these letters, some big corporates, for example, just aren't prepared to take on the legal fight of attacking Scientology because it costs a lot of money and there's a lot of threats there, and people are scared by Scientology's bully tactics. Now, my personal belief is people shouldn't be scared of a church. If you are a genuine religious organization, you should exist to help others. Now, we know that Scientology doesn't exist to help others. That is the decision of the Charity Commission here in the UK, which ruled in 1999 Scientology is not considered for the public benefit. So we know that that is a fact. But nonetheless, it doesn't stop them from attempting to harass and intimidate people. But nonetheless, we do what we can. Scientology up north here saying, hey, hello, thank you so much for joining. Becky says COS policy of destroy utterly and doubling down makes them look ridiculous and cowardly. Precisely. Now, I'm the sort of person who stands up to bullies, and the Church of Scientology are bullies indeed. And all of their activities and their attempts to silence and criticize and attack me will not work. All they do is inspire me to fight harder. And I'm the sort of person that stands up to people like that. So don't think that this is going to work. And actually, you might be more effective by trying to, for example, provide welfare and support to your inmates or your members, as you might call them. Those people, if they are given the support and if they're stopped being abused, if you stop engaging in this behavior, then we as a community go away because they suddenly don't need help anymore because they're not being harmed. Do you not see how simple this is? That's the best thing you can do. And the easiest way to make us all go away is to actually help and look after your members, your parishioners. But we all know that's not going to happen. But nonetheless, Chris says, as always, Alex, you're doing great work. Thank you so much. Amy says, comment, the more they attack, the more lawsuits will come their way. Precisely. Harassment and intimidation is being considered a hate crime by the police, who are actively investigating this situation. And they are watching very closely everything Scientology are doing to try and interfere with my life. Helen Gore says, hi, Alex and everyone. Hope all goes well with your talk. Thank you. I do hope to video record it and I will upload it to my channel in due course for those of you who can't be there in person. But for those of you who can, it would be great to meet some of you in person. So if you are in or around Leicester tomorrow, please join me tomorrow from about 6:15 in the evening at the Secular Society. And we'll have a nice little talk. SP Crusader Dini says, it's definitely not cricket, as we would say in the UK. Yeah, precisely. Barbara says, hi there, Janet and Graham. Your bully tactics are no longer acceptable by anyone. You hold no power over anyone outside of your cult. Precisely. They hold no power over me, and I will just continue fighting, however hard they try and silence me. Becky says, Alex, you look like you've been in the sun, a healthy tan. I don't tan very well, actually. I'm very ginger and very pale, but I do know how to get a little bit of a tan without burning. And it's a complex routine of wearing sun lotion, after sun, moisturizer, and all that sort of stuff. So I don't go completely brown, but I am slightly browner than I normally am. But if you were to see me in person and stand next to me, I am still very pale, very ginger. It's those Scottish roots. Rachel says minors should not be allowed to have kids. Yeah, precisely. Is that what I said? I didn't mean that if that's what I said. What I meant is the parishioners should be allowed to have kids if they want them. If I said minors should have kids, that's not what I meant, and I take that back. Haggis Basher is here. Said T did a fantastic video on her channel today about Whitney. Okay, great. I will have to check that out. Bok Buddy says, make sure to mention the children forced to participate in Scientology's quack and dangerous purification rundown. It's hard to imagine the British government allows the practice with juveniles. Yeah, precisely. It's absolutely ridiculous. People have died doing the purification rundown. It is dangerous. It is harmful, especially to your health and especially to children. And the fact that it is continuing to go on at Scientology properties across the country is something that needs a light shining on it for sure. When it says, I'm hoping the Whitney Mills lawsuit really hits them hard in the USA. Rebecca Minkoff, David Minkoff, medical neglect. Absolutely. It's only a matter of time before something like that happens here in the UK as well. Haggis Basher says, when does their abuse and attacks get addressed as discrimination and a violation of our human rights? Precisely. And this is part of my case. This is my point, is it is a hate crime, because the reason Scientology are attacking me and others are because of our refusal to accept their religious beliefs. If you are non-religious in the United Kingdom, an atheist or humanist, or you're somebody who doesn't follow any particular religion, your right to be non-religious is protected in exactly the same way as those who do follow religious beliefs under the Equality Act. And so it is a hate crime because Scientology's attacks against us are because of our decision not to follow their belief. It is a hate crime. And so it's really important to highlight that this is discrimination. It's not just hate speech. It's not just bully tactics. It is indeed an attack and discrimination. Amy M says, Alex, you can file suit too if you are victimized in the United States. Yeah. And I can file suit here in the UK as well. And like I said, there's an ongoing police investigation. A civil suit is a lot more difficult because it costs a lot of money. And that is not something that I am able to afford myself independently. But nonetheless, it doesn't mean it's not something I'm looking at. And a criminal case is something that is currently ongoing. And that's where my efforts are focusing at the moment. Rachel says, we have a community. We do indeed. Matt Beavis says, words from a book showed me the way. That's from this song We Stand Tall, which is a Scientology song. Very good, very good. Rob YouTube says, tomorrow will go swimmingly, Alex. We're all sending good vibes and positive thoughts to ensure that. Bon chance. Thank you so much, Rob, and thank you for your support of the channel. I really appreciate it. Rachel says, I think books are good for everyone and people should learn to love each other. No more harassment. Yeah, precisely. Leading my activism with kindness and compassion is really, really important to me. And that's why I try and make sure it's really clear that we are just trying to promote the community of supportive, loving people that are here for those who want to leave Scientology. We're against the abuse, the behavior. We are not against the beliefs necessarily. Some of you may be, I don't know. But from me, from my perspective, it's about the behaviors, not the beliefs. And we approach this with kindness and compassion at the forefront because those are really, really important values that don't exist in Scientology. The more kindness, the more compassion, the more love that you can show a Scientologist, the more confused they will be, because those are emotions that are not permitted in Scientology. And they are told that we are, as suppressive people, are enemies, we're horrible, covert hostility, dagger behind the back, all this sort of stuff. And so actually, when we lead our activism with kindness and compassion, it just causes a cognitive dissonance, because that is not what they are told to expect from us. So the more we show that, the more they start to realize perhaps that what they've been told about us isn't exactly correct, and that we are actually a nice bunch of people that just want to help. So, guys, that's it from me. Thank you so much for joining. If you are in Leicester tomorrow, please come and say hello at the Secular Hall. I will record it and upload it to my channel for those of you who aren't in the UK or aren't able to attend in person. If you want to support the talk, if you want to support me, and you want to help me get to Leicester, and help with my safety and things like this, getting a taxi from the station, which is only a 10-minute walk, but the police have advised I get a taxi. All those sorts of things cost money. So if you want to support, please consider buying me a coffee using the link down below. But the number one best way that you can support me and my channel is by pressing that like button, by hitting the bell on the subscribe button so you get notifications whenever I go live, and by sharing this far and wide on social media, and most importantly, talking about it. The more people we have talking about Scientology and their abusive practices, the more likely it is we will get government action, because we need vast swathes of people to come forward and put pressure on politicians to act. Write to your MP, write to your representative, talk to people about it, and get that conversation going. That's what we need as ex-Scientologists to support us in our mission, and we're eternally grateful for the never-ends who support us in that mission. That's it from me. Thank you so much. I'll see you on the next one.